When people talk about the NBA bubble, the first thing that usually comes to mind is how weird it all felt. No fans in the stands, games being played inside a Disney World campus, players locked away from their families, the strictest rules anyone in the league had ever experienced, and at the time, the bubble felt like something temporary. An experiment in survival, a way to finish a season that had been completely derailed by the pandemic. But with a little distance, maybe it's time to reconsider. Maybe the 2020 bubble wasn't so bad after all. In fact, you could argue that the bubble is one of the most unique, competitive, and raw periods in modern basketball history. It stripped the game down to its purest form: players, coaches, and the court. No travel, no distractions, no hostile arenas or friendly crowds, just hoopers battling it out night after night with the whole world watching. So let's dive into why the bubble deserves more respect than it usually gets, because yes, it was weird, and yes, it came during one of the most difficult years of our lives, but basketball-wise, the bubble might have been unforgettable in all the right ways. Before we get into it, if you guys like these videos, subscribe to the channel and like the video as well. Let's do it. First, we have to remember just how dire the situation was back in March of 2020. The season came to a screeching halt after Rudy Gobert tested positive for COVID-19, and for a while, nobody knew if basketball was coming back at all. The world was shut down, players were stuck at home, and the league was losing billions of dollars. Adam Silver and the NBA owners had to come up with something drastic to salvage the season, and that's when the idea of the bubble at Disney's ESPN Worldwide of Sports complex in Orlando was born. It sounded insane at first: lock hundreds of NBA players, coaches, and staff inside a resort, test them daily, restrict their movement, and build a made-for-TV basketball environment. But as wild as it seems, it actually worked. The bubble became the safest place in America. 0 positive COVID tests during the entire event. Think about that. In a year defined by chaos, the NBA bubble pulled off the impossible: a safe, functioning basketball ecosystem. And that's what set the stage for everything else. One of the strongest arguments for the bubble being underrated is that the level of basketball itself was elite. Without travel, without hostile arenas, and without the grind of jet lag and distractions, players could focus solely on hooping. For some, it felt like playing pickup at the highest level possible, just raw talent on display. We saw some guys shooting better percentages, dropping career highs, and thriving in an environment where nothing else mattered. And I want you to think about those historic runs. Jamal Murray absolutely erupting in the playoffs, trading 50-point games with Donovan Mitchell in one of the greatest first-round series of all time, and the duel was straight out of a video game. Jimmy Butler turned into a superhero in the finals, dropping an unforgettable 40-point triple-double while dragging the Heat against LeBron and the Lakers. Devin Booker going undefeated in the seeding game with the Suns even though they barely missed the playoffs. It was the start of a new era for Phoenix. And of course, LeBron James and Anthony Davis proving to be an unstoppable duo, capturing the Lakers' 17th championship. The bubble amplified skill. Without the pressure of 20,000 screaming fans or the fatigue of constant travel, talent rose to the top. It became basketball distilled to its core. At the same time, the bubble was more than just physical performance. It was a mental war. Being stuck in one place for months away from family and friends tested players in ways the average fan can't imagine. Some guys admitted struggling with loneliness, anxiety, and frustration. Paul George opened up about his mental health issues in the bubble, and while he was mocked at the time, looking back, it shows just how tough the environment really was. But here's the flip side. The mental strain also made the accomplishments even more impressive. Winning in the bubble wasn't easier. If anything, it was harder because players had to overcome not just their opponents, but the weight of isolation and uncertainty. That's why Jimmy Butler's finals run was so inspiring. That's why LeBron's 4th championship carried a little bit of extra meaning. And that's why the Nuggets comeback from 3-1 down against Clippers stands out as one of the gutsiest playoff pushes ever. The bubble tested mental toughness like never before, and some players thrived under that pressure. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. No fans. At the time, this felt like the biggest flaw in the bubble. Basketball without fans, how could it be the same? The energy, the atmosphere, the momentum swings, all of it seemed lost in an empty arena. But looking back, that silence created its own kind of magic. You could hear everything. The sneakers squeaking, the players trash talking, coaches barking out instructions. Every shot, every celebration, every scream felt raw and authentic. It was like pulling back the curtain and seeing the game in its purest form. Normally, we're so focused on the crowd and the show that we forget basketball is, at its heart, just 10 players going at it on the court. And the bubble reminded us of that. For hoop purists, it was a treat. And for the players, it leveled the playing field. No home court advantage, no referees influenced by crowd noise, just basketball. The bubble wasn't just about basketball, though. It was also the stories that unfolded inside it. The social justice movement was front and center, with players wearing messages on their jerseys and entire teams kneeling during the anthem. When the Milwaukee Bucks decided to boycott a playoff game in the protest of racial injustice, the entire sports world followed. That moment of unity started in the bubble, and it showed how powerful athletes can be when they use their platform together. Then there were the quirky, almost surreal storylines, like guys fishing in the resort lakes, the infamous snitch hotline for reporting rule violations, the endless debates over food and accommodations. It gave fans an inside look at NBA life in a way we'd never seen before. And who can forget Jimmy Butler starting his own coffee business inside the bubble, charging $20 a cup out of his hotel room. Now that's legendary. The bubble was weird, yes, but it was also unforgettable. Of course, not everyone looks back fondly on the bubble. Some people still call it the Mickey Mouse Championship, as if the Lakers' title didn't count. Others dismiss breakout performances as bubble flukes like what we saw with Murray or Tyler Hero. But let's be real, the bubble was no joke. If anything, it was one of the toughest environments the league had ever seen. Every player had the same conditions, every team faced the same challenges, and the Lakers earned that championship fair and square. The idea that bubble performances don't count ignores just how competitive the games actually were. We saw comebacks, upsets, and legendary battles. The Clippers collapsing against Denver wasn't a fluke. The Heat making the finals wasn't a fluke. These things happened because those players and teams stepped up in that moment. So instead of dismissing the bubble, maybe we should respect it as one of the most unique proving grounds in NBA history. So what is the legacy of the bubble now that we're roughly 5 years removed from it? For starters, it proved that the NBA can innovate in the face of crisis. Pulling off an entire postseason in one location with 0 positive cases was a logistical miracle. Other sports leagues struggled with outbreaks and cancellations, but the NBA set the standard. It also changed the way that we view mental health in sports. Paul George's honesty opened the door for more athletes to speak up about their struggles. That conversation is still happening today, and it started in the bubble. And in terms of basketball, the bubble gave us moments we'll never forget. Luka's game winner against the Clippers, Dame Time going nuclear in the seeding games, Jimmy Butler leaning over that courtside table, completely exhausted after giving it everything he had. Those images are burned into NBA history. Most of all, the bubble reminded us why we love the game in the first place. Even the most difficult circumstances, even without fans or arenas or normalcy, basketball is still delivered. So, was the NBA bubble weird? Absolutely. Was it tough on the players? No question. And did it feel unnatural at times? For sure. But when you step back, maybe the bubble wasn't so bad. Maybe it was exactly what the league and the fans needed at that moment. It gave us closure to a season that almost disappeared. It gave us incredible performances and unforgettable stories. And it gave us a new appreciation for the game itself. 5 years later, the bubble stands out not as a gimmick, but as a symbol of resilience. A time when basketball found a way to survive, and in doing so, created something pretty special. So next time someone calls it the Mickey Mouse Championship, remind them of the battles, the moments in the history inside those Disney World courts. Because the bubble might have been strange, but it was also legendary. So maybe the 2020 NBA bubble wasn't so bad after all. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. God bless y'all.